Uh, be patient for now. Good morning, friends. We'll be starting in another 5 minutes, so please be patient for now. Good morning, friends. We'll be starting in another 5 minutes, so please. Good morning, friends. We'll be starting in another 5 minutes, so please be patient for now. behalf of PSSI and PyCon India, I welcome you all to PyCon India 2014. Before I move forward, I'd like to shed some light on the society, which is known as Python Software Society for India. The core goals of Python Software Society, also known as PSSI, is promotion, development, adoption and facilitating the use of Python language all across the country. Current initiatives and activities that PSSI has is Kenneth Gonsalves Award, that's a yearly award that is presented. Python Express, which last year was Python Month, now it's Good morning, friends. Settle down. We'll be opening registrations at the registration desk. So please become a member of PSSI and join the AGM meeting. Python Software Society for India. I'd now like to request Anand Pillai, President for PSSI, to come on the stage and present the Kenneth Gonsalves of the country. Current initiatives and activities that PSSI has is Kenneth Gonsalves Award, that's a yearly award that is presented. Python Express, which last year was Python Month, now it's taken a full shape into Python.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Kunal, for that. Just a few words about the Kenneth Gonsalves Award, or we also call it Kenneth Gonsalves Memorial Award.
Good morning, friends.
As some of you might know, Kenneth Gonsalves was our kind of mentor and founder of the original Python Society, which was IPS's when we started the conference in 2009. Solution of a person's contribution, original contribution towards Python advocacy and adoption of Python programming language in India. So we started this award last year, and I'm happy to announce that the second recipient of Kenneth Gonsalves Memorial Award is
Thanks,
Dr. Prabhu Ramachandran of Aerospace Engineering Department of IIT Bombay. We also call it Kenneth Gonsalves Memorial. Thanks, Prabhu. As some of you might know, Kenneth Gonsalves was our kind of mentor and founder of the original Python Society, which was IPS's when we started the conference in 2009. This award is an original contribution towards Python advocacy and adoption of Python programming. Dr. Prabhu will speak a few about his experience with Python and his experience in the community. So, and I'm happy to announce that the second.
Thank you very much.
Gonsalves Memorial Award is
Thanks,
Dr.
Thank you very much.
Of Aerospace Engineering Department.
Those are very dangerous opening words. You're handing over the mic to a teaching professor.
Some of you might know, Kenneth Gonsalves was our mentor.
So I'll try to keep this brief.
Founder of the original Python Society.
The microphone not working.
Which was IPS's when we started the conference in 2009. So,
Hello.
This award is
So first thing, I'd like to thank the PSSI for absolutely no idea that I even understood the chance for this award. It's been a particularly difficult year for me personally, and so it comes at a time which was very heartening. And the story behind how it actually came about, I found out later, is also very heartening. So this award is really about the community. So I'll put the community. Hello. So first thing, I'd like to thank the PSSI for I'd given a tutorial on scientific using Python for science and engineering in IIRS Dehradun last year, and it's been a particularly made a friend there, and he happened to just send me an email last month saying, hey, I nominate. It was also very hard, and so I said, oh, okay, thank you very much for your gracious thought. I hadn't any idea that someone would do this, and the day after my birthday, I received a phone call from Anand saying, hey, you've been chosen as Python for Science and Engineering recipient of the award. Sorry, last year. I didn't tell him about the birthday again. So the reason why this is important is, so here I was just trying to spread the advocating the use of Python for scientific analysis in an Indian research institute, and the result of that was and some point when life was and I get this amazing award at the end of it. And the award itself is special in the sense that I'm not necessarily a mainstream Python guy in the sense that I'm not in Bangalore. I don't do web programming, which is probably what is most popular with Python. I'm one of the few guys who does scientific computing in India for a lot of time. But I've been involved in international communities as well. And the community, Python community is just amazing in the sense that they recognize this. They recognize the diversity of Python and the fact that it has so many diverse applications. And every single time, I come back to Bangalore, and all of these guys, Anand, not in Bangalore, all of the PSSI guys are good friends. They don't see you as, you're not one of us. There is one community, it's one community. It doesn't matter whether you're doing scientific computing, doesn't matter whether you're doing web programming, it doesn't matter if you're doing education, it doesn't matter if you're doing advocacy. You're still part of the community. And even if you go to the mailing list, if you go to Compline Python, you go to any of the mailing lists involved with Python, you'll find that they're very friendly. You find that they're very welcoming. You find that, it's an amazing community. And the PSF as well, the Python Software Foundation. They are extremely inclusive, and as such you'll find that it's a very friendly community. Not only is it a friendly programming language, it's a friendly community. They don't see you as, you're not one of us. So that is, my opinion, a great victory of Python. It's not about me, it's not about me getting this award. It's just the fact that it's an amazing community. I obviously now have to say something personal. So I have a lot of people to thank to make sure that I was able to contribute to the Python. A lot of people. I have my parents, my teachers, my beautiful wife, my entire family, a lot of friends, a lot of people who introduced me. Some of you are here. People like Ashokan who introduced me to dynamic programming languages 15 years ago. There are people in the ILUC community, Linux user groups, my teachers, my PhD advisors who basically let me off the hook on my PhD procrastination project, as Fernando Perez likes to call it, Mayavi. And I'm also a religious person. I'd like to thank my spiritual advisors and God as well, and just the faith. And I'm really proud, pleased to be part of this wonderful community. Thank you once again from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. I'll end with saying that I hope I do justice to this award and continue to serve this community and make it a stronger and a more vibrant and useful, make useful stuff for the rest of you guys. Thank you.
Moving ahead, back to PyCon India 2014. This is the 6th edition for PyCon India, happening in Bangalore now. We are a completely volunteer-driven, a few international volunteers as well who've been helping us throughout the past 6-7 months for organizing a conference at this scale. Just to talk about few numbers, we've had about 140 plus talk submissions this time. We had hard time selecting what comes on the final schedule. We've had enormous amount of registrations. This is what it looks like this year. So we started in 2009, thanks to Nopal and team for bringing PyCon to India in 2009. And then from there on, we've seen growth every year. This time, officially, we're like largest gathering of Pythonists in India. It's about 1,300 people we are expecting to be here today. As far as the count goes, right now, we've already had 800 people who've flooded in the venue right now. So that's huge number. So thank you to everybody. Conference platinum sponsor ZOmega. ZOmega is one of the leading strategic US population health management softwares, and ZOmega has been with us for almost 6 years. So thank you so much, ZOmega. The other sponsors that we have are gold sponsors: Plotly, Blue Jeans, GoIBbo, Nolarity. Silver sponsors: Project Place, HelpShift, Function Space, MySQL, and Red Hat. Also, we have media partners and other partners, accommodation partners like Airbnb, HashGeek, and Campus Hash. Thank you so much for being with us. We have stalls of each sponsor outside. I would request everybody to visit them throughout the conference, thank them for all their efforts. They help us keep the cost low and make the conference accessible to a large audience like you. Thank you. We had workshops yesterday. We had about 9 workshops which were attended about 160 attendees, which is a good number as compared to previous years. We have 2 keynotes, one keynote today morning and one keynote tomorrow morning. Apart from the action-packed talks that we have small segments. We have lightning talks which will happen today and tomorrow, starting from 4:45 till 5:30 in the evening in Audi 1. To register for lightning talks, you can get hold of me or Chris or Arvi. We'll be helping you with the lightning talks. We have a movie screening today, which starts at 4 in Audi 2. We have open spaces throughout the conference in Audi 3 and the first floor. So anybody who wants to do a bird of feather or open spaces is welcome to do that. We also have a panel discussion tomorrow, which will start in this Audi 1 at 2 o'clock. So feel free to attend. Nice time for the next 2 days. Thank you so much. I'd like to now invite the first keynote speaker of the day, Kushal Das. He is a C Python core developer and a director of Python Software Foundation. He has been prime evangelist for Python development in India. With round of applause, please welcome Kushal Das.
Hello, am I audible? Hello, can you hear me? People in the back? No, yes, no, nothing. I cannot hear you. Oh. So, good morning and welcome everyone to PyCon. Before I start anything, I want to know a little bit more about you. Like, who all are here for the first time in PyCon? Can you please raise the hand? Whoa! That's like really amazing. Thank you for coming down. I want to introduce myself. So, I am one of you. I'm just another participant, part of the community. And it's not only me, all the other speakers who will be here for today and tomorrow, all of them are just like you. Every one of us started at 0 at some time, and everyone became part of this community. So it's really great that you people are here today, and I hope you enjoy these workshops and talks here right now, today and tomorrow. And by next year, we'll become part of the community fully, be active volunteer and become an organizer for this conference, because I think we'll need a lot more help in the coming years. Developer. I'm also a director at Python Software Foundation. I don't know how many of you actually heard about PSF, the Python Software Foundation. Anyone? Okay, still a good number of hands. And we are actually going to have a PSF members meeting at 4 p.m. today at Audi 3. So if you are already a PSF member, you want to come down there to learn a lot more new things. Or if you want to become a member and learn what all you can do for the Python as a community, you should come down and just have a chat. It's at the open spaces, Audi 3, 4 p.m. And I will also contribute to a project called Fedora project, which is the Linux distribution, as a brand ambassador. Things you can do and become a contributor. And a husband, important part. So actually, before going more into my talk, I want to say this thing, that my talk is very much personal. So this is not a technical talk. Throughout this talk, I'm going to talk about different projects, different people whom I met throughout my journey till now. And it's not something which already ended or I reached a place. It's still going on and it will go along throughout my life. So I'll share some stories with you. I'll share moments, projects, good, bad, both sides. So please bear with me all those stories, and I would love to take questions in between questions. You want to interrupt me and ask the question, feel free to. But longer questions, I would love to have them at the very end. So one word, upstream. Again, I want to know how many of you actually understand what upstream is. So throughout my talk, I'm going to use this word a lot of times. So I want to say a little bit for it. So when we say upstream in a free software or open source world, for some programs or one particular program, we mean the project where the people, project is not only the software, it's the people and everyone together who develops that particular program. That's the upstream. And when we say contribution to the upstream, that means, and these words came up from water, the rivers. So downstreams always get the improvement, the good things which happens in the upstream, correct? And upstream goes bad, the downstream will also go bad. So all ideas are coming from there. So why I started? So even though in the slide it's written 2004, but I want to go back a little bit more. I'm coming from a very small village in West Bengal named Ukhra, and I studied up to class 12 in Bengali medium there, and during 2001 I gave my joint entrance exam and came into an engineering college. And I used to stay in a college called RE College Durgapur. I never studied there, but I was there because of my exam. Computer was there first and properly. I never had my own computer. And one day I saw, during my exam that particular day, I saw 12 people cramped up into a very small room, looking like this into the computer screen. So I thought that's something strange. Like they're not playing a movie, I can understand, and everyone is watching, something is going on. So I asked a guy, like, hey, by the way, can you tell me what's going on? He's like, don't make any noise. I said, why? He said, you know, we are installing something called Linux, and if the mouse works now, it will work. If the mouse does not work, it will never work again. So please stop. So that was my introduction to Linux. I'm like, oh wow, that means it's something which none of us know, only one person knows in the whole crowd. Something I want to learn when I will have my computer. I never had my computer. So I joined my college, it's a private engineering college, Dr. B. Engineering College in Durgapur, and I got my first computer. I installed Linux. I knew how to click random places, no clue more than that, and just learning few commands from the thing. So that's around 2004 in Durgapur, things started changing for me. I got access to internet. We never had internet connection in our college. Actually, we had a 56 kbps connection for all 900 students. So, but 2004 I actually managed to get my own connection, the same kind of using some Reliance connection, and I got access to internet and I can search or write emails easily. So things started there, and I came to know about these things or these places or group of things about them. I again found a term, ILAG, Indian Linux User Group. So you know there are many people here from the other Linux user group, correct? ILAG Bombay, ILAG Calcutta, ILAG Delhi, ILAG Chennai, very much active. So I found, oh, there is something in Calcutta also, and I found out about them more in couple of magazines. I saw their names there, and then in that moment I actually tried to make contact. So I contacted this person here, who is here today also, Sankarsan Mukhopadhyay. I saw his name and his one article from him in one magazine, and I wrote an email to him saying I want to do this work, but I have no clue. And not only the reply, later on I received a CD with a Linux distribution inside, and which works, and it's completely in Bengali. I had no clue that I can use my computer in my mother tongue before that, and that's like, oh wow, it's a complete whole new world for me. a live CD. That is also new for me. I never saw a live CD before. I never saw my computer working with my mother tongue. And then he said a word which was again new word to me. You should contribute, and the word upstream also. So those are the new points which I learned first time then and there. And I started my Linux or free software contribution as a translator. So I hope you can understand or guess what a translator does, correct? What they do? Correct. We have so many languages, correct? 23 Indian languages. So most of those languages are, you can actually use your computer in your mother tongue, whichever language it is right now, I hope, in a Linux. It's because there are people who are actually contributing and translating those English terms into something which you can understand in a proper word. So I started my life as a free software contributor, as a translator, and I was really, really happy to see my name in a website, that is the KD India community. And their site, I saw my name. I'm like, oh wow, I am famous. That was first time I can see my name somewhere in internet. I was like, that's mind blowing, that's fun. That's more than enough I can ever ask for. That was my first reaction. And it was not that difficult. From there, with the love, I decided that we should do something similar in Durgapur. So I started a group called DGPLUG. That's our website. You can check it later on, dgplug.org. Around 2004, we started things. So it's the Durgapur Linux user group. That's why DGPLUG. And our motto, which I started with, learn yourself and teach others. Because we never had any people in the local community who can teach others. I can tell you very frankly that I was the Linux expert in my college because of two things. Number one, I knew how to mount my Windows partition. It was really, really difficult. I mean, you don't know how difficult it was. So, mount command, correct? And somehow, while talking with ILAC Kolkata, there is this file xmms-mp3, which if you install, you can play your songs on your Linux computer, which is again another big magic. No one ever knew about these things. So those two commands actually, and because I had a copy of xmms-mp3, I was the Linux expert and I was the king. In a local area, everyone is coming, oh, I need help. What? New machine, install Linux, I want to play my songs. So that's where dgplug.org started, and our idea was that we will try to learn ourselves. Like the first thing what we did was, you learn these few commands, I will learn these commands, and then every week we'll meet in one place in the college or wherever, and we'll share our knowledge. Like, you know, we can do this thing with this command, or you can click here, something magical will happen. Obviously with Linux, we used to install everything, correct? I know how many students are here, by the way? Okay, PDB number. So it's for you. So when I installed Linux, we used to install everything, and I used to get this Qt designer, Qt, what do you call this Qt designer? So I knew that it looked like something like VV because that's what I knew that time. So I can open a dialog, oh, I can add buttons and everything. And then if I double click on anything, it used to open up a C++ editor. I'm like, what's going on? Why C++? I had no clue. I never knew that I can search and read about it. I can learn from it. But that's how everything started. Then things changed for me. My personal life, I finished up my college, good days are over. Deutsche Software Limited. It was the back end of Deutsche Bank, also, if you are wondering. So I came to Bangalore, and somehow I saw an announcement that there is an event going to happen, Forge.in. That one conference actually changed my life in many different ways. I don't know how many of you actually came to Forge.in before. Many of those conferences happened here in this particular venue. This is the same venue where we had a lot of times the same conference. I met suddenly all the people. So I talked about Sankarshan, correct? But I never met him until end of 2006. That's also after Forge.in. I talked with many other ILAC Kolkata members whom I met first time, like Indranil Dasgupta here during Forge.in. I met all the other big rock stars about Linux from Linux world here in Forge.in. I never knew about them. I never knew, okay, no, I never understood what they are talking, but it's nice, I will smile if they ask anything. That worked for me. But in that conference, suddenly I started getting a little bit of like courage to go and talk with people, to introduce myself. You know, I'm from here, I'm trying to do these things. And obviously I was writing code, but not enough. So this thing happened there. I heard about the language called programming language called Python before, but I never had enough clue about it. But there was something called Python BOF, and from a person, Satar Singh Kam. So in that BOF, they actually showed us how the language, what kind of language it is, how it works and the things. And he was giving a demo, like, you can write code for your Series 60 Nokia phones. Few old guys till now, guys and girls. So those Series 60 phones you can program using Python. I was like too much excited. Okay, I really don't want to like C++. I knew I had to write C++. That's what my idea was. But I can learn Python. So I had a chat after that BOF was done. Like, I really want to write code for my phone. It will be lovely to do so. And can I use Python? And he's like, yeah, Kushal, you go back home, do for phone. But I actually had a Symbian Nokia 7710 phone, which was Series 90. And unfortunately, Python never works for Series 90. I mailed to Nokia and they replied me back after 6 months. The developer said, sorry, it took 6 months for the mail to reach to me. But the person who was in charge and said, we are really sorry that Python will not work for your phone. But I was somehow hooked into that language, kind of, and learning about modules, how things actually work out. Oh, wow. So during that time, I wrote my first actual real or useful code, and that's some magic with the lights anyway. So for my job, I was in the R&D department of my company, and we had to help each and other teams, whoever need whatever kind of help, technical help. So one day, actually my manager came to me and he gave me a zip file, which is basically a Perl library and a Perl command to parse something like Form 10K, which is some from US. It's about your I think earnings, and we want to add some features to that program, and we want some different output. So I opened. I knew about Perl. I never saw the code before. I opened it. Some alien language for me. Yeah, still an alien language for a lot of people. So I opened that, and I'm like, okay, I have no clue what this is about. So I should find out someone in the company. I started asking around, who can help me out? So they said there is a Perl team downstairs. I was in the second floor, go to the first floor, to the team, they will help you out. So I went to the team, I gave them the code, I explained them what I want. Then they said, okay, we do not have time, come back next week. We'll figure it out everything, we'll explain to you. I waited, I came back next week. Still we do not have time, please come back next week. I did that for 3 weeks. And then someone actually told me the truth, that sorry Kushal, we can't understand what this code is doing. It is basically parsing one file and format and generating the output in a different file, if you are trying to understand what it was. And I told my manager, like, I'm learning this new language called Python, and maybe I think I can use this language to do this much easier way. So the total code was around 100 lines. It worked perfectly, and I was so happy that something I actually wrote is useful. And that is my first actual code, useful code in Python. The same thing I did with another project. If any one of you know about a library management project called Koha, which is one of the topmost free software project in that area. So I wrote some code again to do those file format changes from some proprietary format to Koha. Then during that time, another change came in my life. I always knew before that writing code, that's what matters. I never used to read code that much. Again, this tip again came from Sankarsan that time, that I should try to read more and more source code. And the example he gave me was Anaconda. Who all knows what is Anaconda here? It's the installer which we use to install the Red Hat Linux operating system, correct? Right now the RHEL, the Enterprise Linux, the Fedora, CentOS, all of them, the installer. It's written in Python. So I remember I opened up the code, and on the main file on the top somewhere it was written, this is really bad example to learn Python. The code was useful. I was totally clueless, like what is going on, why. Then suddenly, I mean, more people came and they told me the same thing, read more source code, read more source code. I'm like, okay, maybe if everyone is telling me that same thing, there must be some reason. Let me just start reading it. Slowly with time, I started understanding the features of the language by reading it. I slowly started understanding how I can do better than what I was doing it. So this is very important to remember. Try to remember that read more source code than you write. If you remember last year, Jay said something similar in this line, correct? That writing code is a liability. Whoever was there last year for the keynote about writing code. So, but as a student, if you are a student, you are learning the language, you should try to write more code also, because that's the time where. One more person, Shamindu Dasgupta. In my mind, he is the best programmer from India. That's what I think. I don't know how many of you actually heard about him, but he is from Calcutta. Right now he's doing his PhD in Media Labs in MIT. He is one of the code developers for the Scratch project. So he was one of the primary developers for the Ankur Bangla group, where I started learning the all contribution free software upstream work. So Ankur Bangla, I actually missed that point. Ankur Bangla group is the group which does for the Bengali language. We have two groups, Ankur Bangla Bangladesh, BD and IN for the Indian Bengali language. So he was part of that group who actually developed that first Linux, Ankur Bangla Linux, at that time in Calcutta. So I always used to think that I'll go to his house and learn a lot from him. I used to stay in Bangalore, take a flight to Calcutta, I'm going back to my village. So I'll stay that night in his house. I'll learn a lot. 10 p.m. I'm really pumped up, like, hey, I'm going to sit beside you and I'll see what you are doing. Nothing else. I'll just sit beside you and watch. 5 minutes, I'm like, okay, I have to stay awake now. And 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I'm sleeping there on his desk. So it happened not once, not twice, many times that I went to his house but slept all across the whole night. And that I am here but I couldn't learn anything from him. But somehow his thoughts, his ideas actually came to me and I understood why he was doing all those work. One of the biggest thing I learned from him that anything is possible even if you are staying at your house. He was the first person who saw things which I knew at that moment. He later on, during that time, he moved into another project called OLPC. He was a developer. Again, OLPC is one laptop per child. I'll come about it in few minutes and say a few more stories there. And I was doing this thing continuously from 2005 to 2000, like this is, I'm talking about 2007 when I started, like I'm writing a little bit more Python code. I was kind of happy. And another project which I did around this time was about photography. I love photography. I love taking photos. And I learned about a website called Flickr where I can upload photographs. And I think, but Young is in Bangalore, correct? Yes? So one of the employees who actually worked with that team closely, he told me, by the way Kushal, if you want to upload more photos, there is a way. You can email those photos to your email ID in the Flickr and that will take you more than 20 MB photographs in a day. And that's like, wow, amazing. But then I have to manually keep adding each picture in one email and sending it. So I wrote my first, a little bit bigger application called K Photo by Mail. It was for KDE, so K Photo by Email. That was the topic. So it's just a simple GUI. Select few photographs, it will show you a preview and click using SMTP lib, start sending the emails. So that's my, you can say that was one of the people who actually used it. Oh, the picture is not that visible. But during this time I met another person whom you saw a few minutes back on stage, Anand Pillai. Someone who can look up to. He started this group here in Bangalore called Bagpipers. Bangalore Python Users Group. Where I came and suddenly saw there are so many people who are like-minded, who love this language, who wants to talk about many new things, what is going on in this language. So that was something new for me. Like I never knew people with languages had this kind of group. I only knew about Lugs before. And like, okay, these are very nice people and he taught many things. I read his source code, the projects he was working on so that I can learn from him. And At the same time, I met a retired lawyer. He was a far better programmer than most of us here right now standing. He was more enthusiastic about the work, and he was a true-hearted person. Whatever he believed, he just went for it. On mailing list, on blog, when you meet him in person. Some of you actually can guess his name. Logan, Kenneth Gonzalez, correct? Yeah. So he was a close friend. He was someone from whom I can learn and see. Like, I can still say even today, I go to so many colleges, meet so many students, but at this age, he's not from computer science, correct? He's a lawyer. Meet today. So that thing is important in life, having fun. Please do not forget that part while you are working on things. We all miss him. Then one more person. I'm not sure if JC is here still now. Not here yet. So I hope people from Bangalore actually can recognize this name. Actually, anyone from India. Jace Kiran, correct? He is again a friend, a mentor, my manager also in one of my job. So I started learning a lot from him at the same way. So I want to say one particular office work was actually we were doing an replacement for a Windows login screen. Windows, that's correct. Which the Windows was running on a Linux VM. The login screen will authenticate using fingerprint and authenticate through the SMTP service, the fingerprint. So that service was written using Python. It's kind of complicated, I know, and stupid. It sounds stupid, but it worked very well. It's around 2007, the story. So I was writing, I was quite confident I can write good Python code. Oh, I know this module, I know this module. It works. I know the SMTP loop, there is a module, I can write a, the authenticator or the service. So I spent 2 days. I wrote code which worked, tested everything perfect. Tested means I just ran it and it works. That was my testing. So I came back and Parson, he was my colleague at that time. And I just wrote this code to him, Jace, like, Jace, this is what I wrote. He looked at it, he's like, oh, Kushal, nice. But you know what, you should sit beside me. And he asked me to sit beside him, and while sitting there for the next 2 hours, he actually started rewriting the code from the scratch. And it's like a drawing, it's like a painting. It's a different thing completely for me. I never saw people actually writing code in front of me, the pair programming thing before. He wrote test cases, he wrote the documentation, how the things is working and everything. I was like, that's strange. The same code, but one of the incidents. So, but at the same time, because our team, we were doing only Python code. I should say only, yeah. So there's a lot of things to learn from him. And how many of you here heard about the HasGeek, Jay's company? Correct. This will be a pretty good number. And I actually told him that I'm going to talk about this point, that in general in life, when we were kids, we always wanted to become good cricketers, correct? In India, people who like cricket, anyone? Like, we all wanted to become either Sachin, Dravid or Ganguly, no one else, in general. If you are a movie star, we want to follow like Amitabh Bachchan, Shah Rukh Khan, Salman Khan, become that circular. They all want to become like Jace. They want to be successful in the same way. They want to be known. But for mostly what they miss is another small word called hard work. If you see all those people who are successful in life, ask anyone, any of the authors, people who are doing great, ask them that it actually took time. It's actually a lot of hard work. I think you know Sachin's story, correct? How hardworking he was, and he is still now. It same goes with programming. Things will not come to you in 1 day, 1 month, 1 year. You have to keep doing it. So there are those. You can go and search about, I forgot the exact title, it's about how to become a better programmer in 10 years. Search about it, read about it. It takes time. Ask anyone. I mean, Prabhu, you can explain it better than me in this way. Yeah. So that's my example. But it takes time to reach certain level. That is the thing I want to say. And if you think that you can just act cool, behave cool, and properly hipster and wear this particular clothes, or I'm talking about only these upstream projects, I'm a cool guy. that might work some places, but when you come and talk with the other people who are, the only way you can become better at anything, even in lying, in quote, the Indian politicians, many cases, I mean, they also work hard, correct? So whatever you do, if you want to go on the top, you have to work really, really hard for it. Everyone work hard. Sidelining things from Bangalore. These all things were happening in Bangalore. I'm not. Can we reduce these lights, please, on the stage? So, project we picked up in Durgapur. It's called Bijra project. So Bijra is actually a school. It's a remote village within Durgapur, the town, where the students, they never had proper clothes to wear while going to the school. No, not proper textbooks or anything. But with help from West Bengal University of Technology, the VC, Professor Ashok Thakur, and from ILA Calcutta, Indranil Dasgupta, and DGPLG volunteers like Shomokanti Chakrabarti, what we managed was 5 computers, dumb terminals and 1 server, desktop, and install a complete Bengali. And it was not about teaching computer, it was using computer to teach the normal study things. They were learning about geography, they were learning about history, Bengali literature. There are many texts, correct? Project Gutenberg for other English literature. So this is another image. And the best part about this project, there were no teachers. They were learning everything of their own. And it was following the same motto which we had and we still have, that learn yourself, teach others. Bengali, shekho ebong shekhao. Nije shekho, logo ko sikhao. That way. Giving back to the community, getting more people into the community. And in 2007, I was introduced to another project, OpenPCD. It's the first open hardware for RFID, 13.56 megahertz. It was an open hardware, open software project. So the project is obviously, you can do many things in this using C. There is a C library, librfid, to work on it. So I decided that I don't want to write C, so I'll write the Python bindings. So I figured out that somebody told me that you can write, in Python also, in google.com. So I did that. I started reading about it. I wrote the first versions, and then I went to actually a conference in Berlin, LinuxTag, and I was working I gave a talk about this, and I was showing my code and demo everything. The code was working, but the primary developer for this, like Milas Mariak, he came and he told me, like, you know what, we need to install this also, so you have to write a makefile. How many of you actually know about makefile? Oh wow. I also thought that I knew makefile. Young kid thinking that everything is easy and useful. So one night, like, my friend used to work almost 16 to 20 hours a day. So around in the evening, I started writing the makefile. Not compelling, okay, what is the next library I can add into this? -L, keep adding the libraries. Till it works. It worked at around 6 AM. I'm so happy. I have a working makefile. It just works. Perfect. I mean, his wife was also awake with me. She is also an hacker who made the hardware design actually. So she was looking at my progress and she's like, oh Kushal, congratulations, it worked. I'm like, now he has to wake up, and I'm like, that code, the makefile, looked at me, smiled, and the reaction was, you know Kushal, even my grandmom can write better makefile than you. Go jump from the window. And if you are wondering, that was 5th floor. So I made a decision for myself that I'm going to come back to India and learn about this. It's okay, it's perfectly okay. I understood, they also explained that it's okay that I do not understand what makefile is or how these things work. But it's my duty in one way to actually learn about it in future, so that next time when I will come to a project or tools, whichever we want to call it, I can use it actually. So I learned, and in many other projects I used auto tools, I used the same technology, and it works now. And I know how to copy paste. I mean, I still can't write from scratch. I know how to copy paste it well. Then something we started, it's called DGPLG summer training. That's also a pretty unique thing. It's an online summer training free for everyone who has a Linux computer and internet to join. It runs for 3 months during summer, and we teach them to solve your daily problems. We do not teach Python as a programming language only, but we try to teach them how to use this language and solve the problems you have. I'm not going to explain the kind of problems students generally get into, scary things, but most of them actually manage problems using Python, funny ways. I'd love to talk about those stories outside in the hall when no one is recording. And at the same time, I also worked into a project called Live USB Creator. As I am saying, like, all these things are actually my stepping stones. I'm learning a little bit more in my journey. I'm letting go. It was, I think, announced in Indian daytime, early morning, from a guy called Luke Macken from Fedora project, that you can install a live CD into a USB. Nice thing, but it was a command line. So I knew PyQt that time, the Python version or the Python bindings for Qt. So I thought I will try to write a UI, very simple UI. What? By around 4 p.m. I actually, Indian time, I sent him the code. You know, I did this, have a look. So after a few days, he actually blogged about it, that he was working on a PyGTK version of the tool. And he got my code from, he never knew me that well, but suddenly one guy sending him code. The whole thing there from that time became, like, that was his first and only, I think, PyQt code, which still works. It works on Windows, Linux, Mac, everywhere. And I worked on that logo also. That is also a contribution. It's always not about programming. I cannot draw a straight line well, but somehow managed with the tools to make this one. So that was a point when I learned, okay, like, I can talk directly to these people. They are not aliens. They will not beat me up if I send them wrong code. I saw it before OpenPCD, and then that was a big help. And again, I am very much excited because all those project pages, they have my name now. To have it. Then I changed my job. I joined this company, Red Hat. It was a huge thing in my life. It was kind of dream. Not to become part of the company, but more about the people, the culture. I was in the Pune office, so I had there many upstream contributors. I was lucky again to have Sankarsan first time officially in my career. He was my manager. I had people like Rahul Sundaram, Ramkrishna Reddy, where many of you already know about him, Aman Alam, Parag, who all are upstream developers in many projects. So whenever we used to meet for a cup of coffee or talking, making joke about random things, it affected me a lot to learn to, every day I can hear new technical words which I have no clue. And the lights are doing many magics. See? And I also moved into OLPC. That's the laptop I was talking about, one laptop per child. Simon was working on it, and he asked me to work for its audio video application. It's called Jukebox. I worked on it. It was then available to everyone who has an OLPC. And suddenly in few days I learned that writing code for 10 people is very easy. Writing code for 50,000 kids, use the application in the way which I never thought they will use, breaking all use cases. They also came to know how to use IRC and talk to the guy who actually wrote it. So I can keep seeing these random people, nicks coming up on the channel and has sugar for the OLPC and asking me, you know, I want to do this, how to do this. This video is not working. It was scary and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And the biggest thing I learned was be patient with people, and users are everything. If they say that your code is okay, you are okay. And from 2006, I was using Fedora all across. That's my operating system. I am running it right now in my laptop. But I was becoming more involved into the project. So I worked with the Fedora infrastructure team. So there are people like Toshio, Pingu, Nirik, these are the nicknames, or the names. So one of the major things which I learned while working on infrastructure is that everything new and shiny may not be that great for you. So there are many web developers, correct here? Many people who write web code, please raise the hand if we can see. Okay, still a lot. And as a student, you always attract that feeling. It works many times. But as a part of the Fedora infrastructure or something, I have to remember that if I use a new Python module, I will be the guy who will be packaging it. That's my pain. I have to go through the pain of package review. That means somebody will go through each thing I did and make sure this is perfect for the operating system to use. And then I have to support it into the Apple, that enterprise repository, for next 5 to 6 years. So that's something which taught me stay within the standard library, Python standard library, as much as possible. I don't know, everything shiny and new is not great all the time. And you must work in an enterprise company, any enterprise company in India, you'll learn a lot about it. How those COBOL and C applications are still working and working great. So during that time, I also tried my first upstream project. I wanted to work on PyPy. You heard about PyPy? It's a Python compiler written in Python, correct? Python. So I thought I will compile it. I had a laptop, powerful one, 4 GB RAM. So not possible. I tried, failed. Went to PyPy on IRU to compile it there. But why don't you try with something else like C Python? I'm like, what is C Python? Like, oh no, that's the language you use, Python, the interpreter. Okay, I can start looking into that. That's how I came into C Python, the programming, the language upstream thing. And my first patch was actually went through the Fedora package. So you all know the help command, correct? In the interpreter, help, opening, closing parenthesis, and then you can type modules to see all the modules. But in Fedora, we always used to see that modules command used to crash. The whole Python interpreter used to go out. Never knew why. Or libraries in that way who had a sys.exit 0 inside their code. That means if you actually try to use it in a wrong way, it will just terminate the whole process. So I tried to write some patch and some stuff for few of those, like not the sys.exit 0, we actually fixed it in the upstream. Live USB creator was one of that, which did that, our own project, but we fixed it. And that's where I figured out, okay, people can actually accept my patches. Then one more person, Siddhesh Poyrakar. How many of you have heard about libc? Libc, the actual C, what do we say, sometimes as a student, C software, the programming language. So glibc is the upstream, the C implementation. So he's an Indian who lives in India and he's an upstream libc developer. That means all of you, almost all of you are actually using his code right now. If you go to the libc devel and see how many people are committing code, there are actually around 5 people who are doing the upstream devel, regularly committing code, only 5 in the whole world. He is one of them. He is my friend. Someone who keep like, Kushal, stop all other nonsense you are doing, random code I write for myself, and try to work upstream, contribution. Make sure that you do more contribution in the upstream directly. It's okay, it's easy. It's not that difficult. So keep pushing me. Even he works for Red Hat, and lucky for me that we used to interact a lot in that way. Then this fancy name, now you all know about it, correct? PyCon India. The first year I actually missed it because it was during Durga Puja times, but from then the speakers, they are talking about things. Even the students who came and asked me questions which I had no clue. So I had to go back and read about it. This conference is something, it's very personal again. It's all the people, all the friends here. Everyone is a friend. If I don't know you, I can meet you. I will meet you this time. Maybe next year when we will meet, we will be already a friend by using technology, internet. Maybe I will not talk to you over internet. Maybe I will meet you again next year. But we all are friends. Remember this, that this conference is run by volunteers. So if you see something is problematic, if you see something is wrong, so please come and tell anyone and try to help to fix that thing. We all can improve ourselves. Nick Corlin, again code C Python developer, who did the final push to me that, you know, Kushal, you have to work more and make sure your patches goes in. And Michael is here right now. He is going to do the keynote next day. But he also helped, David Murray, he also helped me a lot in the upstream, and my patches started going inside the code, and I got the review commit commit access and become a C Python code developer. So it never happened in one day, but there are many people who keep pushing me for this, and so that I'm doing over it. Development sprints are something where people sit together, meet and keep talking about or doing work, not only keep talking, actually doing work on different projects. So this is an example about C Python development, actually Python development sprint during PyCon in US. So the guy on left, he was in our table and he was having a problem with Mercurial, HG command, and we never knew how to fix it. So we were just saying, I don't know how to Mercurial, anyone knows Mercurial that well. And suddenly I saw a bunch of people standing behind us like this. Oh, what's the problem by the way? And we may want to help you. I'm like, okay, who all are you? So he was helping. He's the guy who wrote Mercurial. And that team was like, and they had the world. So all across the 4 days of development sprint, whenever we said anything to Mercurial, they all are up and coming. Oh, you need any help? So that's the best thing about development sprints in any community, not only Python, you do for any other community. You will see the upstreams just beside you. The way you can get help from them, it's not possible anywhere else. I think I'm going over time, but if you can excuse me for a few minutes. So for anything on the upstream, what is the most important factor on the, it's a single word, simple word. Can anyone guess what's the word? Important. Upstream people, we do it not only for our job or work because we have fun, we love it. But also trust. It's all about trust. The community actually trusts each other very much. That's where when they decide to give you commit access, that's where you become a part of the organization. You're part of that whole community. Say for this, the organizing committee of PyCon India. It's about the trust, and the trust will only come when you keep doing these things. And for students, again, the journey is important, not the end station, the end points, and it will never end. It will be on throughout your life, not as a programmer maybe, but as a different things. We will have to learn many things, correct? You will have a family, you will have your own kids, you have to keep learning new things. So that's all about the journey. So I heard a nice line about yesterday from Naufal here. It's about like people, most of the times what they do is that they underestimate the long-term goals and they overestimate the short-term goals. That in next 7 days I will learn these things, I will solve all these problems, but I cannot do this even in next 1 year. You should try to learn new things, you should try to do more stuff. And you will figure out slowly and eventually that you can achieve much more than what you see now. I saw it in my life. All the last few jobs I am working on or worked before all came through my upstream contribution, through those people. I have friends in different companies. It's the same people here. They all will be your friends. You can get a job also if you want a job. But you have to keep working. You have to keep doing new stuff. So please keep doing those things. That's like, I should say that's the last line from me. And like, if you have any questions, I think there are mics. No question, 5 minutes if I can get, just 5 minutes, not more than that. I thought I will have some more questions. If you have any kind of questions, please feel free to. Any questions, anyone? No questions? So generally when we go to colleges, what I say or we say, if there is no question, that means only 2 things. Number 1, you understood everything, not possible, no one understood anything. Always possible. So I'm going to think in that way now. So if no questions, I can just get down. Okay, there's one hand.
So you are talking about code sprints. Are there? Do you know of any code sprints that happen in India?
There are different communities who does those things. I mean, it's not happening directly even in PyCon, but there are open spaces. Every year, I know there are friends and there are people who are working on those upstream projects. We actually sit there with our laptop and show the students or anyone who wants to know about those projects, and like these are the bugs you can solve. And then there are other projects like AD community and like many other communities which do separate particular code sprints. So those things happens in India. You don't have to go out for it. And many code sprints you can actually attend over internet. So we will try to help you over internet. Any more questions?
I think you are using the upstream words quite frequently, and I think a lot of them are in the initial stages of Python learning. They know different modules, they know importing the libraries. So could you suggest us what are the code, I think you were referring during the talk, that you refer different codes, the source codes. So could you just refer some of them so that we can refer them? And
okay, so if you want to read, the question is about, so the first thing I want to suggest is a nice language called Python. Go to standard library. It's in your computer, go to the standard library lib directory. There you will find most of the Python modules. It's written in Python, and trust me, they have enough code comments and documentation inside, doc streams. Some of the Python, okay. But still, you can understand those code. It's not rocket science. So feel free to read, start from there. There are a couple of blog posts and things. I actually missed one point I want to say about that part. See, I was talking about the journey thing, correct? And I want to give one example, students. Couple of them, correct? What happens in India is that people do the GSOC and they just vanish from that project. But you are supposed to, through GSOC, you are supposed to become part of the community. So there is a girl among us here today, Charu. She is from IIIT Allahabad, correct? So she started contributing before GSOC into Fedora project. She is here, you can talk with her afterwards. She contributed during GSOC as a GSOC student, and she is still now the contributor. She is becoming an upstream contributor. So if you want to learn more, someone who is already a student, you can come and talk with her. She is a direct example here who is actually doing contribution. So please continue doing contribution. We'll have to help you out, and later on also over emails and stuff. And this is my Twitter handle. So Kushal Das, not that difficult. Hopefully you will be able to remember. So if you have any questions or any good or bad things, throwing stones, please feel free to do it over Twitter, not in real life. And then thank you.
Thank you, Kushal, for those words. I would request everyone to please go out for the tea, have some snacks, come back. But come back like at the stretchable time. Okay, so we'll be assembling here in Audio 1, and there'll be another session in Audio 2 also, so you can check that. Thank you.